Everybody, welcome to episode 120 of Tactical Crouch. It's a back-to-back podcast days. Kickedtripod here with Yiska and Volamel coming back at you with the things and the stuff and the things and the stuff. Yiska's already undone a button on his shirt. You know it's going to be a show.
He's getting loose. You know, I actually always have that two buttons.
He's straight up hedge fund managing in Cancun right now.
Nah.
With that.
We're just not doing laundry right now.
Well, hey, everybody.
Time to get dressed for the day. Got to show up.
Thanks so much for being here. I hope you have a fun show today. We're going to be previewing the Countdown Cup Week 2 matches today and just talking about other things.
Yep.
So we're going to get started. Before we do, big thank you to everybody who has subbed, donated, or become a patron. And a special thank you to our patron producers. Battle Crab, Pin, Lotion, Charlie L, Audio, Compass, Pork Chop, Sammy, Kasha 67, Kuchi Kopi, Sharp, Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Refine Bean, Rex Zane, Roger B, Fabled Steven, Owen, Chris, R34444. Yiska is holding me hostage. Please send help. I'm under Yiska's desk. Please send help. Yiska says, Fishers, Frisha, Fisha. Thank you.
I think the next step would have to be that you know it by heart. I think that's the next evolution.
Bruh.
Just saying.
What do you mean, just saying?
Battle Crab, Pin, Lotion.
Charlie L, Audio, Compass.
Yeah.
Pork Chop, Sammy, Kasha 67, Kuchi Kopi.
Sharp, Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Refine Bean, Rex Zane, Fabled Steven, Owen.
Hunter Tane, Your Misery.
R3444.
Oh, yes.
But I missed like a whole line. It was Sharp, Picasso, Nathan, Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Refine Bean, Rex Zane, Roger B. Anyways.
Yeah.
There's a little extra time for our patrons. Patron producers. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/Tactical Crouch. I could memorize it. I would.
There you go.
I think it's doable right now.
Is that a thing you guys had to do in school? Like just like learn little poems by heart? Is that still a thing?
I grew up in rural,
probably
conservative Christian Minnesota. So if you think I didn't have to memorize Psalm, things. I think 119 or 120, which is like 2.5 pages. I think I did. We did pi to, I think, 160 digits. I think I did at one point. That was just for me. We got pay attention to geography.
Nice.
Geography is easy.
Wow. I mean, we definitely had like here, little 7-year-old learn this Goethe poem where you don't know half the words. Like it's just stupid. Like, come on. Like they're talking about love, and I'm just like trying to collect Pokemon. Like, I
have a jaded. I have an interesting thought on German poems from The Office, because like the episode where Dwight Schrute is reading to like the kids on Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and so he brings like an old like pre-World War II like children's book. And it goes, the tall tailor comes to children who suck their thumbs at night and cuts their thumbs clear off, kind of thing. That's how I imagine German.
It's actually
toddler.
So awful, dude. Like it's literally, we have one of those books at the school, and it's like a one from the 70s, and it just has all these old ones when German like didactics still thought, we teach these children by fear. And it's just like, you know, we have like one guy that's called Hans Guck in die Luft, and that's basically like Hans who only looks it up into the air, and it's basically like to teach kids to look where they're going. And this kid just like walks with his head up high and then just falls into the river and drowns, dude. Like it's not even cool. Like this is a story for 6-year-olds, like kids in maybe in kindergarten. It's so terrible. Like, yeah, then the guy Suppenkasper, which is basically like Soup Casper, where the kid doesn't want to eat his soup, so he starves. Dude, it's awful. Yeah. It's actually really terrible.
I mean, we have like the boy who cried wolf,
pictures.
right? Like we have,
Yeah.
and I'm sure something. You have the boy who cried wolf, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah, so
we have some
transcend.
like very like kind of harsh consequence type things. But there's like Struel Peter is what somebody posted in chat. Is that the name of like the collection of
Thumbs? The thumb collecting demon?
Oh, is that who it is? I thought it was like
I don't know.
like an Aesop's Fables type of things where it's just like a collection of all of these different short stories. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways. Well, welcome to episode 120. It's kind of a light one. Here's what we discovered in kind of preparing for today is that every single NA game by the odds is greater than an 80-20 split. So they're not very close ones. If even the odds are putting them at 80-20. So there might not be a whole lot to discuss on the NA side. So it might be a little bit more of a loosey-goosey show. We'll have to see. We will see. It is a rough weekend, but that's okay. Sometimes you just need an off week. Sometimes you just need to see more opportunities for Super Genji. Why not? Why not?
Well, I don't know.
See, I
got that new guy.
Maybe I'm unreasonable, and let me review the footage.
Yeah.
And I got more mad. I got even more mad too. Like it didn't help at all.
Dude,
Like,
it was not like I think I gave Super a pass because they didn't lose a map. And therefore it was serviceable enough that like unless you go back and watch it, like it was fine. But even then I was like it wasn't good. I said it multiple times like it wasn't good. No. But I think rewatching the matches be like, no, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's
simply bad.
It's as good as you can reasonably expect from a main tank player. Yeah. For that, it was actually very good.
Yeah. Surprising that a main tank player can hit GM on Genji. Great. Good on you. Happy. Super's a nice guy. Good main tank. Genji, not so much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Happy birthday, appearing Cloud9.
Oh, happy birthday.
One. Yours is really close
Fellow
to
Leo.
Joe's was
a lot of
yesterday, according
birthdays.
to Yiska.
Like this week. Peggy, I think, is celebrating their birthday.
What?
Today?
Today?
Yeah, I think Peggy's birthday is today. Yeah, I believe so. Let me check my calendar.
Happy birthday,
Peggy's
Peggy.
birthday is today.
Woohoo.
Happy birthday, Peggy.
Anyways. And happy birthday, Joe.
That's not my birthday.
Yeah,
It's not my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be fun. Let's start though. Let's not be ridiculous and let's instead hop over to the Asia region, shall we?
Starting in Asia.
Sound good?
Let's get it.
All right.
Starting with a banger. I don't know.
Team coin flip.
Team coin flip, boys.
So the first one is. So do we want to talk about? Do you think that we are going to see any major shifts in the Asia meta this week, week 2?
Ooh.
Because we kind of discussed this, right? You Joe, you said that you felt that NA had a better handle on like the best version of that hero pool meta.
Yeah.
Do you think that we'll see less Mercy or Zarya? Do you think that
I think we're going to see significantly, I think we should see big changes from teams that were leaning into either full-on dive comps or like this weird Winston Zarya stuff. Unless you're the Chengdu Hunters, which in case, hey, do whatever. But anybody who isn't named the Chengdu Hunters probably will lean back into like double shield. I think the Winston Sigma gives you the flexibility to be a little bit more mobile when you want to be, but majority of the time you're playing. I think Florida actually played really well like this last week, playing these kind of short, stubby jump attempts with Winston and diving when you have the opportunity to. So it's a little bit more brawly than divey. As much as we see a Genji Tracer Winston for a team like Atlanta, we see those dive pieces, but it doesn't mean that they're actively diving. You have two flanking heroes, and Winston can dive, but it's not necessarily always the case that that's happening. So I think that that's probably going to influence Asia quite a bit. I think we already saw teams starting to kind of not buck that trend, but like already do that. Also not a big fan of like the weird kind of support meta they have. Not a big fan of the Mercy. Just gets picked way too often. Feels like it could be map dependent. Like I think you could put a Mercy into like a Temple of Anubis. Very, very not normal, but historically sound, especially on defense. Makes sense. But I think the biggest change will probably come at Flex Tank.
What do you think, Yiska? What's your famous meta reads? You nailed London Guangzhou last week.
So okay. The thing is, I don't have any juice yet on what is actually happening.
Wait till Friday, guys.
Exactly. It's also even if I had, there's no saying that this will still be relevant by Friday. Or by Saturday. Do we have Friday games this week?
Yes,
we do. We have Friday NA games.
So
yeah, I don't think we have any Asia games on Friday.
It's very hard for me to speculate. And I'm also not good at it. So I'll refrain and actually go for the reads of people that know. I don't know.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's talk about then the first match, which is going to be the Seoul Dynasty versus the Chengdu Hunters, coming off a win against NYXL last week.
Yep.
Joe, you said you were watching this morning. You were watching that match.
Well, I guess technically this morning at the wee technical hours of this morning. Was reviewing that for GG Recon. Piece just went live, so if you're interested in a very in-depth dive, go check that out. But in all actuality,
I wanted to clown you so bad, and then you do it for the website I work for, and I can't. Still teaching energy, it really is. Okay, keep going.
NYXL should have won that match, like 9 different ways from Sunday.
Do we have a counter for how many times we've said that this season? By the way, do we have like a?
This one felt different. This one felt very.
It was a reverse. It was a reverse sweep.
Yes, 100% was a reverse sweep, but like even looking at the first 2 games compared to like game 4, I think Havana was. I don't know that like a lot of teams have a good read on that. I still think Chengdu drastically misplayed a lot of their engagements. I don't think it's feasible to just throw your main tank away and just expect that your very talented DPS are always going to consistently give you some sort of value. I think that's just a mistake. Granted, it might just be what they have to do. I don't even know if that's what their coaches or their coaching staff is actively telling them what to do or telling them to do that, but it's what's happening. This one really did feel so hard to justify for NYXL that it felt like they were just like in their own heads. The only thing I can think of, like it was that severe of an underperformance. I mean, by the end of I think by the second submap on Lijiang, Animo dies first by like just sheer poor positioning and leave clicking his face at least 4 times before the fight even starts. And it's like, you can't win games like that if you're going to allow the enemy team to be able to do that to you. And it's not like, oh my God, like Ons is hitting like these crazy widow shot. No. Like this is just, I peek a little too long, I die. What are we doing? either you're disrespecting, you're not putting enough respect on Chengdu, and they're, again, talented DPS lineup, or you're just, I don't know, not good. The Lucio for NYXL, no bueno. Did not like it. Therefore, I don't have much faith in the Hunters going into Seoul. I think they're the biggest reason for their win was just mechanical outplays. And I don't think you're going to do that versus Seoul. I don't think this is going to be close. I think Seoul probably beats them 3.
You shouldn't be able to do that against NYXL either, though. Like,
no, you shouldn't.
NYXL on paper is also a pretty nuts mechanical team.
Weirdly enough, Jonak kind of quiet. Definitely not playing up to his status when he's positioned on heroes to be able to do so. He did play a lot of Moira, to be fair. But even when he was on the Zen, had a couple good picks, but weirdly enough, more often than not, Molly came in clutch for the Hunters. A lot of the Hunters' win against New York Excelsior was a lot of clutching. A lot of throwing. Like peak levels of throw. Dashing into bombs levels of throw. Pulling Arhan blades aplenty. Cornucopias of Dyson air blades.
The good stuff.
But then sometimes you get 5Ks, and sometimes Leave just fine Sombras. Sometimes you just click their face. Sometimes that stuff just happens. Sometimes Molly just shoots people across the map. Sometimes it just happens.
I didn't tell you guys we're gonna do this beforehand, but I'm making the call now. We're gonna play a game called Guess the 3-0s. So you have to guess how many 3-0s happen over the course of the weekend.
3 Overwatch, yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Joe, you said that this is a 3-1. Don't worry, we're gonna go one by one through the matches, so don't worry, you don't have to count them all up now. You said this is a 3-1 for you. This is not a 3-0 for you.
Yeah, I think Chengdu definitely has the potential to probably just steal a game.
Do you think they try to bring the Genji Pharah again?
On control, possibly. As much as I wasn't necessarily a big fan of it. Yeah, probably.
It's because it's dumb.
It is dumb.
Yeah.
Especially on Village.
I don't think this is my 3-0 either. This one's, I honestly have a tough time for any of these 3-0ing. Like Shanghai, London. Yeah, the Shanghai, London, I think is the only one that I look at and go, that Yiska, I think Yiska has me betting against London averse. They're going to trend up eventually, guys.
I'm not going to lie. I think the best chance for a 3-0 might genuinely be New York Charge.
You think so?
Maybe. New York had a really weird read on the meta last week. They were playing like strictly dive. Like it was Winston, Diva, Sombra Genji, Tracer Genji, a little bit of Ashe. Sabiolbe was in. Not a fan still. Yeah, I don't know. I think Charge had a good look. And if New York doesn't adapt to it or adapt to like what the meta is now in Asia, if it's changed, it probably has. They could definitely get slapped.
Let's we're gonna discuss it. So we're gonna discuss that match. Okay. Anything else to say on Chengdu Seoul? Good luck. Have fun
Seoul definitely didn't have a good showing against the Spark, but I trust them a little bit more than the Hunters right now. Even though the Hunters did win, it didn't feel like a win. If you go back and you look at that game at 0.75, that game does not feel like a win. Watch each map without the context of the last map. Does not feel winnable at any point. Towards the end, much better, just performance-wise, but still a lot of the strategies are just very bland, generic. Throw the ball in and hope for the best. Not a ton of follow-up, which I was pretty disappointed in. Uncoordinated to all hell. Like, this literally was just sometimes you get caught. New York got caught. New York got pulled down. They pulled them into the storm, and it equalized a lot of the deficiencies Chengdu has. If you can pull them into being uncoordinated, especially on a map like Havana, where they're just kind of all over the place. New York can't touch the cart. Mono has to solo the cart, so now you have no shields, kind of pushing the rightmost flank on the brewery part of point B. You're just gonna die. I don't know what to tell you. You don't have a shield. You're not running Sigma. You're running Zarya, so it's you bait out the bubbles and then you kill them. Simple as it was a weird read. I think Chengdu played very well. It's very surprising to see that Haxal's not playing. To see this a consistent and still rotating Sabyolbi Nene DPS. Don't know why we're doing that. I don't know. New York is still a very, very strange team.
Yeah. Yep. I'm kind of done defending them, but I'm also like, I can't also dog on them because as soon as they do, they win. I just like, they just sit in like this weird nebulous state of like, just, hey, food's here. I can hear Choji in the background. I'll let you guys carry this.
I agree. Like this is hard to read, and I wonder if this is just another team that like struggles with like early hero pools. We'll have to see what they look like in week 2. Granted, this is going to be the last hero pool for the Countdown Cup qualifiers. Next week we'll have no hero pools, which will be fun to see what the meta looks like. But maybe they come back. Maybe I'm wrong, and they don't get 3-0'd by the Charge. But if they show what they did last week. Not looking good.
Cool. Joe, it could be the last week of hero pools because we don't know what's happening next year, right?
It's true. I would be over the moon with that personally. But again, I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk about hero pools.
Here we go. Hey, guy in the comments. Hey, what up?
Made it.
Dude?
We made it. Yeah,
we see you.
We made it 21 minutes and 57 seconds before we discuss hero pools. See you later. Do. Yeah. Okay. It honestly could be the last week of hero pools that we see.
I think. Yeah. I'd be quite celebratory if that was to happen. I kind of hope like that was going to happen. What was it? Was that at the Summer Showdown? Where it's like you have this like big final, and at the end they're just like, "Hey guys, we're done with hero pools.
Done.
Bye.
Peace."
Like, yeah, it'd be crazy. I don't know. I would find that very, very fun, and would be very good for me.
All right. Okay. Let's go to the next match. And that is going to be the Shanghai Dragons versus the London Spitfire. Yiska, you got the juice here. You want to double down on the spit?
Shui Genji.
No. Part of that equation was charge.
Yeah.
Charge. Like Shanghai is not volatile.
Yeah.
Like charge will. No, not anymore. No, not anymore. No. Okay, which game have they?
Not in terms of
Hunters?
It's not necessarily underperforming. It's more the volatility of the roster.
Sure, but like if you hold the quality of the losing against the Charge is not necessarily a step down from your quality. The last time Shanghai betrayed themselves is losing against Chengdu all the way back, right?
I 100%. Like I don't think Shanghai has severely underperformed. I think the only series that I kind of recall back to them underperforming is probably their close series, I think in May, in the May Melee against London, where they went 3-2 and still won. But even then it's like, okay, well, that's kind of bizarre. Like why are you taking London so close?
Sorry.
Why is that so difficult?
I forgot to change the seed. Sorry.
I don't think this will be close, but yeah, Shanghai should be able to do this pretty convincingly, but if they start rotating that roster, start putting in people that, maybe a Super Genji type of deal, then what? Which isn't completely out of their wheelhouse. This isn't something that Shanghai is just like, oh, well, how can you just like generally say that? No, this is something that Shanghai, this roster has not been consistent throughout most of the season. They've tried to give everybody a little bit of playtime. And I mean everybody.
Yeah. That's fine. I think it's smart towards season end when you don't know what's going on and you kind of want to keep people happy and you want to keep the team morale up. So yeah, I mean, this is very obviously a Shanghai.
Yeah, Shanghai, definite victory. But do you think that, like, how much stock do you put in that kind of theory where, like, they're going to be volatile with their roster? It could kind of catch up with them a little bit, and maybe they take a loss. Maybe they take an upset. Not against London, but just in general, where they're toying around with the starting 6 too much. Map 3 comes out, they're down 0-2, and you get caught.
It's entirely possible. Here's the thing why it is reasonable for them to even do this. They're sitting at 20-2, right?
100%.
So, like, I put out an article today with Eric, and we looked at the differences of, like, the importance of the seeds. The thing is, they are already almost impossibly far ahead of the NYXL. NYXL would have to even if they're automatically one of the two first seats, right? That makes it so they receive a bye round. So there's really nothing severe that could happen to their season based on just toying around for one game to create value further down the line, right? Like if you're fielding like bench players just to have them warmed up, even if you play like maybe suboptimal compositions in order to like help them on the heroes that you have allocated to them, that's completely fine here, right? So I don't know if you want to do that this late in the season, or you want to sort of like crystallize. And to a large degree, we can already tell pretty much what's going to be played, at least into the Countdown Cup, right? Like, it's unlikely that we're going to be having a meta revelation.
I think
past what NA was playing.
You think?
And
even
then,
without hero pools?
Yeah.
I think Anik definitely could shift things a little bit.
I mean, yeah. Okay, sure. Like that. We're still not necessarily changing like the vast majority of heroes around, right? And then, yeah, you could have more Ashe alternatives, I suppose, or when you recess, but yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird knock-ons where you put Widowmaker in, good answer to Ashe. You put Ana in, pairs well with the Genji, isn't terrible with Winston. Do we still play Winston? Are we back to double shield?
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Yeah. So.
I love that Yiska just can do that. What mental fortitude to just be like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. I'm wrong. Good. What a man. Just what a human being.
Sure.
And then he says stuff like this.
Thank you for investing in your favorite anime girl.
And then you're like, where's the integrity, man?
Well, I wasn't wrong for that one. I can tell you that. I wasn't wrong.
Where's the integrity?
Right.
He's not American. It's called meta rational. Look at chat. Got Yiska's bat. Is this one of your 3-0s? Or no?
Oh, man, I love my London. Like, I love what that roster.
No, stop. You like Glister.
Yeah, London.
You like Glister.
London.
No, I do.
Same.
But I
Same
also
thing.
like the idea around it. I really like where Although went, even though it doesn't matter really more. Like, I like Sanguinar. I like Bernard most definitely. Sure. This team, they should be. I wish they were still in NA basically. But
okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean that could be one of the 3-0s though.
You have to tell me if I'm going to put a 1 next to your name or not.
No, do a 0. No.
Okay.
We're not going there.
Not going there yet.
Asia is tough. I agree. I think John had brought that up. I think it is tough to call any 3-0s in Asia. This one again.
I know it's tough to call winners in Asia. Look at last week. Look at last week. Did we call any of them
you're
right?
Not wrong.
Did we call any? There was only, to be fair, there was only 3 matches
I got Charge right. Definitely didn't get Hunter.
Oh yeah,
right.
so Charge. It was Charge that we got right.
I think I was the only one. Yeah.
But
So
we didn't get
one of
Spark
three.
over Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Odds are tough sometimes.
odds are tough sometimes.
Shanghai's wily. Every match definitely has like the potential to not be a 3-0 and be a 3-0 in the same state, where it's like Shanghai
Just
could
like
just
Seoul.
stomp.
I would
Yes.
call this a 3. I would call this a 3-0 if Glister doesn't play.
And even in that same sense, it's like it could be if Glister doesn't play. We got problems.
Yeah, what is that?
Even on like the Ash, it's like it depends on, I guess, what Asia looks like in week 2. But if the meta really does settle on Genji Ash, which I think it will, like Genji Ash, like Winston, Sigma, Bap, Brig, I think I like that comp a lot. I think the Zen has merit 100%. But like outside of that, you could see some Tracer maps. I think everybody's like big Papega, thinking that like Paris is just styling on people on like traditionally decent like Doomfist maps. Havana, not so much. I give you that. But most of the other ones, normal. I don't know. I don't see like the big like style points that everybody keeps drawing up. But yeah, Asia's
weird.
tough. Shanghai could just throw in some weird rosters and just lose a map.
Let's keep zooming on then. And let's go to NYXL versus Guangzhou Charge. And are you guys both teams? Well, no. Guangzhou's still on top. This is 71-29 in favor of Guangzhou.
This should be very simple.
This is the big one though, because in terms of season standing, like NYXL desperately needs to win this one in order to have a chance to get into top 2, which would then give them an additional bye round, and on top of the seeding advantages and whatnot. I don't think like NYXL pretty much has to win everything in order to make that happen.
It's
for the remainder of the season. That is very hard for them to do.
So unlikely.
But no, like, okay, so I guess one thing that is now public is that Neptune and Nero are going back, right, to catch some visas. Yeah. I think honestly that is like brig praise, dude. Like that thing is kind of important that happened to them. Also, Eileen slotting in so well into these holes.
Yeah.
That they had that Nero left basically for them. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong about where charges go in and they can compensate for this. It's not amazing though. Theoretically, it's also like on paper, it just doesn't make sense that NYXL isn't popping off, and then they're doing some stuff with Who Are You now, and it's just
Who Are You? No Haxall. Sabi will be on things that he probably shouldn't be playing. It's just very confusing.
Look, like if you play Who Are You on Genji, which there's of course some argument for, then why not Haxall on Break, for instance, right? Like stuff like that. Maybe you don't want to teach these. Or have to teach him that again, and that's also something about long-term value, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's like you're also currently kind of working for the short term, because like these brackets are actually pretty important, dude. Like, and of course, the Asian bracket is a little bit more forgiving in that you automatically start in a double elimination, so long-term plays make a little bit more sense there. But like, just, I mean, I guess you gotta make some aggressive plays, because the likelihood of you winning this season is probably like, I don't know, very, very low overall. So even just becoming one of the two top Asian teams is really hard. So we'll see.
Do you see? Here's the thing: is I feel like, so I mean, for Haxall not playing, there's like what are the reasons for Hacksall not playing? He's either like so.
I genuinely think it's like a battery. I don't think there's a ton else. They just seem like very committed to like the weird dive stuff, and I think you probably will see him week 2. I think you'll see him this week. I think you'll probably see him specifically for the Brig because Anamo completely the bed. Like was not good. Was very, very, very bad. So I think Hacksall comes in, plays the Brig for them. They lean more into Brig Bap, Brig Zen, stuff like that. I think they'd be probably best on Brig Zen, specifically for Jonak. Like when you have somebody of that caliber, I think you could argue that Zen's a little bit better, especially when you can just kind of get picks across the map. If the meta doesn't completely shift into Sigma, so you have those extra shields.
Did Asia do a lot of Brig? They didn't do a lot of Brig.
No, not
period,
at all.
Right?
Not a ton. Not a ton. A lot of Mercy, a lot of Lucia, a lot of Moira.
A little bit of Bap.
It was very a little weird.
Yeah.
So because I mean, like I think the big question that kind of comes, it's literally the anti-shock thing where we are like, why aren't we seeing heroes or players that we know are great on heroes playing their heroes? Whereas, and it's Hacksall's like, why'd you bring him on? Why'd you bring him on if we're not seeing him on Genji? Why are you bringing him on if we're not seeing him on Brig? And like, is my only like rational assumption comes down to they just want them to have more time to integrate into the system. That's it. Like, you know, one of those like coach slow your roll type moments where it's just like, let's just take it slow. Let's integrate it right. I'm not saying that makes a lot of sense, but that is something that I could sit across from somebody from NYXL and they say like, oh, we just wanted to spend more time there and do that. And then I would have to like, I would basically go, oh, okay. It's your process.
I'd like to see who are you in like a proper comp again, like their read on things was really, really off. So it's tough to judge how his Genji technically looked because of how strange their composition and their macro game as a whole was. But with that said, not impressed. Not the Genji of old.
0 for 2 on heroes that I can think of. Like his May got a ton of crap, rightfully so.
It was bad.
And now we're actually criticizing his Genji, which I don't think is what we were expecting.
No, if anything, that was supposed to be his hero.
That was
Now that they have Hacksall, definitely like overlaps there quite a bit. Granted, Hacksall can play the support role a little bit better. But yeah, it is bizarre. I question the pickup in the off season. I still question the pickup. I don't think that this had much room to do much of anything.
They've done that with a few rookies now, like young rookies. They did it with Flower. They're kind of running into it with who are you?
They tried to put their eggs in the Flower basket, and that definitely did not pay off. Yeah, who are you for sure?
Because he came in.
Libero is just
he did
wasting
come in
away
at 18 though. Flower was under, and just never played.
But I think they definitely wanted to play with him, like at the start of season 1.
It felt like Who Are You and Flower were both players that they wanted to kind of like build up, like kind of next, quote unquote, next gen talent or whatever. And we never got there.
Yeah, it definitely did not happen. And it's sad too, because you have like an embarrassment of riches on this team, and there are just like very obvious, at least to me, holes where you could improve.
Yeah.
Or like questions that I'm still kind of like asking myself is like, okay, why isn't Nene playing every game? Why do you still have Sabiel be playing? I can bang the leadership drum some more, but I really don't know how like important that is, especially with how absent-minded and kind of lackadaisical they looked against the Hunters, especially towards the end of that series. I don't know. It's this team is very bizarre. This is not the team that many people were arguing to me like should have like earned an era. This is not that same team.
Yep. Yeah. Let's keep trucking. Let's go to Chengdu number 2. That's going to be the Chengdu Hunters versus the Hangzhou Spark. 31-69 in favor of Spark.
Yep. Nice. Aha, funny sex number. Yeah, I don't know. This is the Spark. I don't know. I still do not. The Hunters need to do a lot more to earn a little bit more, not respect. I think they haven't done anything to lose any kind of respect from me, but any kind of predictive credit, because that New York game definitely didn't earn you any. No. You doubled down on the fact that I think you guys have potentially good players. Teamwork out the window. That was just a mechanical, brute force, I'm a pop Genji Blade and I'm either going to get a 5K or I'm going to die. And you just roll the dice. And it was just constant gambles. Every fight felt like a gamble. Just came out ahead. Sometimes you hit it. Sometimes you hit blackjack. It felt like you hit blackjack on that one. These games are going to be tough. So if the Hunters do and have improved, or just have a better idea of what not to do in terms of the meta and to play to the comfort, I don't know. It's tough for me. Again, I gotta break out the yoga mat and start stretching, because I gotta reach for some of these.
Yeah,
it's a loss. It's a Hunter's loss. Spark genuinely kind of feel at least bounced back. They feel a little bit more comfortable. We'll have to see.
I wish the Spark had a Genji that was a little bit better than Super is. Apparently.
Yeah, unlucky, man.
Dude, what are you talking about here, mate? No, Architect, a good Architect that's on fire is just most definitely top 5, probably top 3 Genji in the league. So yeah, I mean, that team still doesn't make sense. In the way that their performances have run, because as we said, Architect comes in, they look great, then they play the next week, they look awful, then what was, I think they won one again, right?
Yeah, they beat Seoul 3-0 Seoul.
True, yes. Which is a good win anyway. Yeah. You got to beat those mechanical players anyway in some way. So yeah, I gotta assume they're better here, and that's also scratch that down on your John. That's my 3-0. That's my 3-0 here. Count it up.
It's Chengdu 3-0 over Hangzhou. Got it. You don't have to actually get the physical.
He's breaking out the chalkboard himself. Yeah, I don't.
Somebody wants to track the actual physical ones. We're just tracking the numbers, but if you want to actually track the matches, that's on you. Somebody will.
I don't think Chengdu can. It's tough for me to put a bet on a 3-0 versus Chengdu, because they can be so wily, and they do have the mechanical potential to just win a map. You can just gamble a map win. Again, I hate to be a 3-1 Andy, but yeah, I'll say 3-1. 3-1 Spark. Spark's good. Feel good, at least. Hunters, not so much.
The thing I will say is that between all of these, between the first 4 matches that we've discussed, I think one of them is going to be a 3-0. So I'm going to add a 1 to mine. I can't tell you which one.
You don't even have to say which one. Oh my God.
No, this is how we play it? This is the number.
He's just playing the odds.
We're just playing sheer numbers right now.
Oh, sheer numbers. Well,
look at the stream.
I'm making, for Asia only, I'm making it 2.
Asia only 2?
Yeah, in all of these 5 games, 2 of these games will be a 3-0.
These goofballs.
Joe, are you staying at 0?
Yeah. I'll say 0.
Oh, come on. This man, it's almost like he has. You realize that 50% of all matches at one point were 3-0s, right? In this season. And it was very deep in the season.
Not this point.
And you feel like you're betting on a coin flip?
I mean, I'm betting on the coin flip. No, I'm betting on 5 coin flips. You Papega head.
100%. And all of these coin flips have teams attached to them that don't feel like they could be 3-0s. Everybody has their way to like get a map or lose a map.
Yeah, but there's going to be 1-3-0 in here. Come on. I'm feeling.
Well,
no,
you
I'm
think that there's going to be
inclined
two?
say
You think there's going to be
will.
two?
Oh my
which
god!
I think is bold. I feel good about 1 out of these 5 matches being 3-0s. But
Some
I
point
do
we're
not.
Going to sit down and just.
I don't feel good about 2, and saying that historically matches were 50% 3-0 is not a good justification of that. If it's not the case now.
No, it's not. Moving on.
What? I don't know. What has changed about the properties of those games that they are irregular and that teams are more close?
It's not
Like
that the teams are close. I think the teams are irregular.
No. The point is
the results are
like
irregular.
Let's say the average is for every second game to be a 3-0. And
Okay.
I guess Eric could look this up.
I think statistically you're right. I just don't see that with these games. I think both could be true.
And you're favoring your confidence in these games over the statistic is ultimately what you're saying. Then.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
I'm looking at
totally
the
fair.
individual
That's
games.
fine.
I'm
That's
translating for the viewer. Translating. That's basically the only thing I do here. I can't even hit the buttons right today. So I basically just a glorified translator for Pepega heads like me.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you're not that crazy. I mean, you definitely think Architect's better than Super, though.
In a 1v1,
it's just going to become a thing, right?
In a 1v1 with no crosshair, I don't know.
That would require both of them to engage in the act of aiming.
Do they have comically large crosshairs or?
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
There we go.
I don't know what I said.
Teo style.
Okay. Last one, and then we need to move on.
Yeah.
Shanghai Dragons versus Seoul Dynasty.
Pepega clap. I don't know, dude. Like, this should be another 3-0, but
Should be.
Who knows? Who even knows, dude?
Don't think so, though. Hero pulls, Shanghai doing crazy stuff with the roster. Could easily lose one. Just saying.
Come on.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean,
Chat saying sleep on a profit. Eric's in here.
Oh my God! Come on.
Could wake up to a nightmare. Could wake up to an upset. I don't know.
But is it a playoffs yet?
True.
That's the question.
He is kind of sleeping. We gotta wake him up. Gotta poke the bear.
I am the Tiger Whisperer here. This isn't the one.
Yeah, that's true. This is true.
This isn't the one.
He has spoken.
Wait, it just dawned on me. Joe slept on profit,
And woke up to a
tweeted
nightmare.
out his article, then woke up to a nightmare. Dude, how am I not Nostradamus of Overwatch? That's insane.
No. It has been 2 weeks since you touted your prediction rate on Twitter. So
True.
it's been a
Mostly
while.
also because it has been going down a lot, but
Yep.
Like
You're just brag before you
self-distancing.
to be fair,
Wholesome, funny article. Hee hee.
I couldn't tab the juice sources like like I usually do because I had a lot of Valorant coverage to do. But I definitely also just had some mega Pepega stuff in there. Where it's like, come on, like I'm reading. It's just like you're writing like these 2,000 words in a fever dream, and then the next day you wake up and you go like, oh yeah, let's check actually how they played. This feels kind of like the way this match happened kind of makes sense. And I read back my paragraph. It's just like, you really got to stop just like with a peyote before you start writing to make it bearable. Like, this makes no sense, mate. Like, what are we even thinking? Yeah, I don't know. It's rough. But long story short, 3-1 Dragons.
All right.
Yep.
Well, let's go over to NA then.
Now we can talk about some 3-0s.
So on the NA side, first and foremost, kind of like we did with Asia, do you foresee any major meta or even minor meta adjustments between week 1 to week 2?
I think like much more minor. I think Asia will probably see the most change. I think you're going to continue to see Genji. I think teams like Atlanta will probably lean off of the Tracer I would imagine that they could be finding a little bit more success with that because they're still trying to integrate Sharp into the roster now that Baby Bay is retired. So that could be kind of a struggle for them. We'll have to see what they look like in week 2, but that's kind of how it looks like, at least on the outset. Tracer should be kind of going by the wayside. I think we've seen enough of it to kind of understand that it can very easily should be shut down, even though you have very talented Tracer players in NA. It doesn't seem like it's particularly a fantastic meta for it, especially when you have something like an Ashe. And then once we get into the open hero pool in week 3 and then in the Countdown Cup, I think we're going to see a lot more Widowmaker, a lot more hit scan. So I think it's better to integrate those people in. I will say that I think we might see a stabilization with the support roles. I think last week we saw like a good amount of brawl on control, which I think is fine. Like I would imagine that kind of stays pretty similar. I'll be interested to see if there's
for people who maybe aren't up to that terminology. What do you mean by brawl?
So like Reinhardt close hold compositions that want to kind of like take close engagements. So something not specifically saying that this was run, but something akin to like a Rein Moira Sigma Lucio, something around that with, you know, plug in a DPS, could be a Genji.
So I mean, heroes who have like very limited like overall range,
limited striking distance.
Striking distance.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's what they're looking for. They're looking to like kind of just steamroll over you, get in close, or force you to come in. You could kind of sub out the Lucio for a Brig in that sense. Brig Moira, hold close. A lot of the symmetric compositions that you've seen in the past, very similar. So that probably still will stay a choice on control. I don't think it's the choice either way. I think it's just an open availability. The only areas where I would see some sort, or I think we'll see some sort of change, is probably like maybe a meta settling on what is better, Zen or BAP. It could be map dependent. I think that's where we're going to see the biggest change in NA, is probably at the support role. But yeah. Atlanta, Boston.
Dope. All right, let's go to, I just have to like deep breaths before this first one. Yeah. So Atlanta versus Boston Uprising. We're all adding one to the. Are we adding one to the tally here?
Sure are. That's one for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah, that's probably going to be one.
You can't not. As much as we might want to feel bad, spade. Bad team.
And Atlanta can only win in 3-0s. So it means that the alternative is they have to lose.
True.
Very true.
So
one way or the other.
There we have it. All right. Is that all we're gonna say about it? Is there anything? Is there a redemption arc for Boston at this point? Are they playing to their potential, or is there some outside force here that could find a way? All of a sudden, the wheels align. You know, you just find out that out of all this time, you thought your car was dying, and you just needed like an oil change. Is there a situation like that for Boston?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's very rarely like, you know, that magic potion just that mends all fences, fills all holes.
Yep.
That's just. I'm not saying like we saw them kind of like buckle up and have a good performance. Like I feel like 2 months ago maybe, where they beat Gladiators, and then also like they had a couple of 3-2s in there, 2-3s.
Yeah, there was some close games.
So like it's just so disheartening that then that they are now down again. They're not playing up to their potential, but
they're not playing up to their potential, and they're playing kind of goofy stuff too.
Yeah,
like they're reaching.
Yeah. Also, Atlanta, it's a weird team, but that's a team that's
not that bad.
Yeah. That usually punches down pretty solidly. So,
yeah, not a team that's regularly. Again, probably one of the more consistent teams, not in terms of just, I think, again, consistency is usually like a positive thing. And people think like, oh, they're consistency winning. No. They're just consistent. Like they beat the teams they're supposed to. They lose to the teams they're supposed to. They're a good middle of the pack team. They should beat Boston pretty convincingly, especially with the look that they showed last week. Again, obvious talking point that we're just, I don't know, I'm not going to bring up because I'm kind of tired of talking about it. But yeah, if that can happen, then Atlanta should be able to dispatch you handedly.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So did you count it up? Yeah, you did. Okay.
Yes, Dad, I did. Okay, next one. San Francisco Shock versus Florida Mayhem.
So this definitely is going to be a 3-0.
Really?
It definitely won't. I think Florida is definitely good enough. I actually quite enjoyed. The only person I could...
You say this one's definitely going to be a 3-0?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not, yeah.
Yeah, I will say that I think Fate had a couple of bizarre jumps, but outside of that, I think they played relatively tight. Like, did a lot to shut down any kind of attempts from Atlanta last week. I like that quite a lot. Definitely swayed my opinion on who was better, Bap or Zen, because they played a lot of Bap Brig, putting Gunjin on to the Bap, which I was very impressed by.
Yeah.
I definitely think Florida is good enough for 1, could be good enough for 2. It's tough to argue against the Shock, though. We'll have to see what Tayo looks like, though. Again, I think that he's going to come in and probably pilot the Genji. If they're in need of a Genji player, I think this is a kid that's,
that's the play, right? But
young, hungry.
They said barring league approval, and they said that
I don't know if he's able to
be
play.
A week out. Yeah, that's
100%. I don't know.
Now,
that's tough to say.
If you want people to believe your super story, and
then you should see him here.
Then you should see him here,
and which in that case, maybe this isn't. Maybe we should reframe this. Is this super or Shock with super or Shock with Tayo? I think they could be two different teams. I think Florida
or
could.
Rascal.
Sure.
Where's Rascal, dude? Like,
yeah. I'd like a comment on that. It'd be interesting to hear what
doing Krusty's dishes.
What the head office has to say on that. That would be interesting to me. Like, okay, we've seen Rascal play Genji in the past.
Rascal's
what's up with that?
Like, well, yeah.
I mean, it's not backpedaling ulting Genji, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not.
He wasn't an A, right? Lowercase. He was streaming from North America, because I know some Korean players went back during the break, just very early, and then unplugged PCs and locked. Okay, well, that's yeah. I don't know. Like, that's an interesting story though, because like that's Genji is also the type of hero that Rascal excels at, right? Like, just smart play. He has the mechanics to back it up, or like the hero is not like super duper in terms of like aim requirements. Like it's not like I don't know. It's not a hit scan hero in that regard, right? So, yeah, I don't know. We got to see, but it's just for that. This will be an interesting series on Friday.
Yep. Who shows up? What happens?
Yeah.
Because I think if Super does play, I don't think the Shock will lose, but I think that is going to be much closer, because Genji is very, very important to the meta right now. I think you need a very good Genji to be able to do well.
And that is an interesting conversation, because I don't know. He's important, but we are not doing that. Like, not a lot of teams are doing that tank Genji stuff, right? Where it's like front, almost like front.
Genji?
No.
Oh, so you're like busting the tanks kind of Genji.
No, the Genji that goes in first and just like gets like hyper high amounts of resources, and it's like almost the engage tool on.
There's also
players,
not
right?
a ton more resources to get these days because armor pack's gone. You don't have anything to give him. I definitely think with Winston and Genji, there are ways to be a part of the initiation. I don't think you can Soul be the initiation anymore. I don't think you're going to see like we did in the Summer Showdown, where Genji's like by himself camping a choke and forcing out resources. That I definitely don't think will happen. But I think Genji can be a part of the front line here. I think certain teams will play a little bit more passive Genji. And I think, teams could near the Chengdu Hunters engage Genji style. That's
what I was referring to. Yeah. So
we will see.
It's I don't know. I don't know where this is going in terms of the what kind of type of Genji do you need? And maybe that's also one of the aspects that doesn't work that well for NYXL, because they have these aggressive beast players that want heavy resources all the time. And maybe we're going away from that, and we're now going into a meta where the Genji has to be more selective in the engagements he wants to take.
So where do you guys put Florida right now in the NA region? So you have Shock up top,
Fusion, Florida, Paris,
and then Florida and Paris. So do you put? I think I put Paris above Florida.
Yeah, I'd say Shock. Paris, Fusion, Florida, off the top of my head.
Fourth. Yeah, makes sense. I don't think there's anybody else that you could.
That kind of makes me feel like.
And it's
so first
Shock,
I was thinking,
Fusion, Paris, Florida.
Yeah, if you're doing it like tiers, then I would agree with that.
But are we in a bad meta again, where everyone's bad?
What do you mean?
Like where the amount of good teams is just bad? Where it's like,
I don't know after 1 week, honestly, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do you think of Florida, like in general? Let's just think think of Florida. Did you feel like when you get that feeling of saying, oh, they're a blah 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 team based on the quality of the player?
Sure, yeah.
I feel like we're just like, and of course it's also because there's a massive novel elements in this meta, but I feel like we're back to pretty meh Overwatch from a lot of teams.
See, I was impressed with Florida against Atlanta, but I don't know if that's just Atlanta like kind of being a little behind with Tracer and not playing like Mirror to really judge exactly how good Florida is. I think I'll have a better read on things after week 2, but I definitely don't sympathize with that. I do think like the top 4 teams could be good, especially granted. And again, we're looking at this hero pool in a bubble. We still have a new hero pool, which is no hero pools to look at, which I think will return Florida back to a lot of comfort comps, switching Tracer for Genji. But I think a lot of the same rules apply to that composition, that they but performed and outperformed expectations back in May. So I think they're on the right track for sure.
Like think back to the days where Florida was very good, got into the finals. Valiant was considered very good. Like even the bottom tier teams were trending upwards. Like, okay, Titans had a new roster.
Sure, you can't blame them.
But like Boston was trending upwards. Justice to a degree on the tail end of that movement. Outlaws was trending upwards. Define was trending upwards.
I still think Outlaws is trending upwards.
The mid-tier was just like, okay, the only teams that were really feeling like were trending downwards were like Atlanta and Gladiators during that time. Now
during May or summer?
May, I think it would have to be.
Okay.
So it's like now we're like Boston is back to their old levels. Justice pretty much like I thought they could do something, probably can't do something. Titans were also like they had that 3-match run where they put some upsets into people's hearts. That's not happening anymore. Outlaws fair, okay, they're still on the upwards trend. Defiant, where it's like they went like okay, during that time maybe they weren't also that amazing, but they were picking up players. That would promise. Fuel was playing with Decay. Valiant was trending upwards and with that amazing success story. Then, as I said, like Gladiators Reign, Eternal was amazing, despite like not having the like there's just like the atmosphere of improvement and like evaluation of teams. And keep in mind, these are not value judgments in comparison or in context to each other, but in context to themselves. I don't feel like teams like in the battle of what kind of level these teams put up on average, I feel like we're not moving up as quickly as we once did during this. And I think the same extends to the Asian region, where we were like, oh my God, how many amazing teams. Like Spark is amazing. NYXL just got Huxall nuts. Like Charge looked pretty good as well. Like Shanghai looked unbeatable. Even like London could go to like 5-4 maps and like a close one against everyone. Like Chengdu was getting these upset wins. Like now it's like, yeah, teams are kind of good or bad. I don't know. Like,
I think that'll just be the kind of, I mean, I don't believe that either. It's definitely hard to justify why that is. I do think that it can be mutually exclusive where like, it doesn't have to be like the hero pool or the meta, but it can just be that like teams are underperforming. Teams lack the confidence. Maybe they got upset. Maybe Boston like had like a surge of confidence and then just lost it after, you know, their match against the Shock. I don't know. I would probably say that it happened way before that, but it's also hard to judge a team like Toronto in this particular hero pool because they played Paris, not a team you expect them to even perform well against, and then Justice, who you would expect like you should beat them. And they did kind of cleanly as well. So definitely hard to judge just because of the low sample size. But in general, I would agree like a little bit, but I don't know why.
Yeah,
why it's happening.
It's
not
just
why I agree.
A feeling. Of course, like in a zero-sum system where teams are compared against each other, there is like nobody gets like one team gets better than the other, and the other therefore gets worse than the other. And it's like pretty zero sum if we're comparing it to the fields. I'm more talking about like the day on day improvement, or like, let me say the feel of the play. Like that's, and I feel like we're not talking about I'm pulling out that word. Like the qualia, what does that feel like enough? When it's like, I feel like there's a very distinct feeling when I watch a good player play. Like it's a combination of many different factors. How good are the mechanics? How high is the mental tick rate? How quickly is he making good decisions back to back? How does that harmonize with the rest of the team? And in general, how is that slotted in? Is this person getting resources on the team level?
Yeah.
Are our rotations clearly crisp and clearly rehearsed? Or are we throwing mud at the wall?
That's so like that's so tough to even judge right now.
That just all goes into one thing that's feeling based. Like this looks good, like good Overwatch, and this looks like bad Overwatch.
It's tough.
It's the difference between watching GOATs even at the bottom tier level, and watching games now.
I mean, I don't know. That's a very deep conversation that I don't think we have time to like fully explore. But I will say that I think it really does come down to like, especially week 1, everybody's trying to figure it out. There isn't just like a Torb virus that's caught everybody by the neck and like everybody's just bought into it. Week 2, we might see that change a little bit more because teams have more time to kind of like buy into it. But I think we're going to probably see that in week 3 as well with hero pools being removed and then another kind of massive shift, which I think will happen. And then kind of a stabilization once we get deeper and deeper into the tournament when we get more good Overwatch. So I think, again, this is just like part and parcel of the course and where we're at right now. It'll get better.
Yeah.
All right. That was not the sidetrack or the tangent.
So
I
Florida
expected us
shock.
to go on. Yeah. So Florida shock for
shock
sure.
win.
But is this a 3-0 for any of you guys?
No.
I don't feel comfortable on it. No.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I think Florida is definitely good enough to get one, and if Super plays, I think they could be good enough to get two. Maybe even an upset, but I definitely can't predict that.
Yep. Okay.
What do you think of the arguments that that Shock could win the Countdown Cup with Super?
Again, I think a lot of people take from that Super is a good Genji, therefore he will carry the Shock to a win at the Countdown Cup, and I don't think that's anybody, like, that's not what people are saying. That's not what Platchat's saying. They're saying that they could win, kind of bringing him along on DPS.
Shock 5v6 the league with their coaching.
I don't think that's doable. I think Paris, I think Fusion will abuse that.
I think Paris would
I don't even understand why you start.
I think it's a fun discussion. I don't think that's even possible to like.
This meta is similar enough to warrant
the past meta
comparisons to Summer Showdown, and it's not like Shock actually 3-0 clapped everyone with their A team. Like they didn't even win, my dudes.
No, they're
like,
4-2 Freddies. They're not 3-1 Andes. They're 4-2 Freddies.
4-2 Freddies.
There you go. And like, I don't know. Like, I don't see where you arrive at the point that you say like this Shock is better than they were before with Super, which you must make the argument for it to make sense that they would then beat Paris in a best of 7 final again, for instance. Yeah. Like you must say they improved somewhere.
It's just a provocative talking point that looks really good on social media and on a Reddit clip.
I think it definitely is like challenging. Like, okay, are the Shock good enough to bring Super along? Thoughts? I don't think so.
And that's not. To be fair, that's not bringing Super along. It's not like he is there. And well, so let me rephrase that. When you say bringing Super along, it makes it sound like Super isn't good enough to be on that team. He is just not.
He's not good enough to be DPS.
He's not. Yeah. So you would be bringing anybody besides Rascal along in that role. Violet, maybe is that your? Are you gonna say? Are we gonna bring up the Violet thing again? All I'm just trying to say
question
is
where Rascal is.
Sure. Yeah. So are the Shock good enough? Basically, are the other 5 people good enough to bring along the team in a Genji meta without a Genji? Sure. I think that's fine. But like, I don't think that's a super specific problem in the sense that.
Oh, no. It's not. I
just want to make sure that we're.
No slighting Super. He went in. He did what he had to do.
He did as well as a main tank should at Genji.
Exactly.
Maybe a little
you
bit
gotta
better.
Respect that.
It's just like, you have to move, like, from flat to flat. And it's like, so everyone comes along and then you give the kids, you give them like the paper bag. And then like, oh yeah, take the paper bag. Oh, can you take that pillow? Thank you. And at the end of the day, the kid says, I helped move. No, you didn't do jack, my dude. Like everyone else carried stuff while you got the light stuff. That's the comparison here. Nothing else. Come on.
Yeah. It's literally just like a AI Genji could slot in almost. It's like as long as we have a Genji on the field, we're gonna be okay, kind of thing. And again, we already kind of discussed Tayo, and if they are with us, then a lot of this is this is what we call an entertainment conversation.
It's a tough thing to kind of speculate on, because he could be, and he still needs league approval. So unless that comes like the day before, I don't know, or maybe it comes in 50 minutes. Who knows? Who knows? Like Tayo definitely, if he's able to play, will play or should play. I don't expect.
We're moving on. I'm done talking about Shock. Let's talk about the next one. San Francisco shit. Shock versus Vancouver.
3-0. Okay.
Count it up.
Count it up. That's a tick.
This is where we're doing it.
That's
Sadly the case. Yeah.
That's a 3-0. If Tayo's not in yet, still a 3-0.
So you don't think that the Vancouver Titans with some of their
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't
You think they get one?
I don't
You think they get one against
This
Stryker?
is the one that Vancouver gets one against.
no.
But I don't honestly, I don't know if there's another team. Maybe Fusion Paris. Those are the only two teams that Vancouver could also play that I would feel comfortable with a 3-0.
Yeah.
Like everybody else, I'm like, Vancouver, like there's a little bit of like danger, Will Robinson in them. Like they're just a little like,
like you definitely don't want to lose to them.
And they've kind of shown some like these weird increments of improvements that you're like
100%.
They're not. I don't think that they've plateaued or really gone down yet, especially for a brand new roster in a brand new league.
Totally.
Having to deal with a lot of different things going on at once. But I'm not saying I'm not saying that I think the Titans are going to win. They're just kind of they're kind of wild cardy for me. Like there's
a little bit
2 weeks of convincing results, and you might be surprised they might be like the next like Florida / Toronto kind of team that we saw.
It depends if Shock like. I don't think you can kind of sleep on Vancouver. I definitely think like you need to kind of like show up, put them away, move on. Like this isn't a team you can kind of, do any kind of shenaniganry with. So, well, yeah, this should be a 3-0. All things considered.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
And at some point, and it's not today, but at some point we got to talk about Flubby as well.
Yeah.
Highly underrated coach, actually.
Yeah,
in
not
context of
for what he's been given, especially across his kind of career, does a lot with a little. So credit where credit's due.
Flubby's honestly nuts. He's like mini packing to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Got an eye for talent.
Good eye. So let's go on to the next one then. Florida Mayhem versus the Washington Justice.
3-0. 3-0.
Yeah.
Not close. Not close.
I don't think so, yeah.
Any
I kind
insights?
of wish I kind of wish Washington was better, but they ain't.
Not yet. They haven't found that next gear, that's for sure.
Like they kind of caught people with the Genji last patch to surprise some people.
Yeah.
I think I think people have definitely gone past that. I think people have gotten better faster than the Justice has maintained, and they're consistently bottom. I think they had a nice peak during summer, but it's rough. And Florida's not an easy team to put away. 2 very, very different teams.
I feel like that was their Boston, like
they're kind of
Uprising, if you want.
People are like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and then it's probably going. I just don't see the potential in the players they picked up. I'm sorry. Like that's, and also I don't know if like that's just, I mean, coaching is another thing, but like, you just got to see like it rationally and just, I mean, I know I tooted the horn of Washington because I honestly thought they weren't that bad during Summer Showdown. And they kind of got unlucky with their bracket in comparison to Toronto, but especially because Florida looked improved now. In the short-term improved over their recent performances. So that's probably a 3-0 unless they mess around or something.
Yep. Cool. Let's go through this. So I want to talk about the LA Gladiators games a little bit more in depth, and we're going to do that. But let's talk about these other games that I don't think are nearly as interesting. First, so Uprising Fuel. Is that one of your 3-0s?
3-0. That's a 3-0. Sorry, Boston.
Yeah, it probably is a 3-0, actually.
It is what it is.
All right. And then let's go to Defiant Fusion.
Should be a 3-0. Is it though?
I'm saying yes.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, 3-0.
Okay. Yiska.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, fine. And then Outlaws Justice.
I mean, that's Outlaws, but I don't think it's a 3-0.
Yeah, that might be a little. I'll say 3-0.
Yeah. Oh,
I'll say
Joe's going to say 3-0.
I'll say 3-0.
All right.
I like Houston. I think Houston's improving. I think people are big grumpy
a bunch
on
of Houston
Dallas.
stands at this point.
I think Houston is a good team. I think they're finally translating to the stage. I agree that there is some criticism to be thrown their way. Definitely have not been the best team in the world, but this is not old Houston. They're finally being a little bit more consistent. Hydration is good. Well, good in certain circumstances, not so good elsewhere. Again, I think the criticism is very fair on the Winston, but everywhere else, I think he's brought an air of consistency to this team that has been sorely needed. All
right.
I think 2021 is a good look for Houston, so I'll give them 3.
All right. Fusion Gladiators.
Yeah. Fusion Glads. I don't know what to believe with this. This feels very Fusion.
Yeah.
Does.
I mean, you were thinking if it is 3-0 or not, right?
Yeah.
That's yeah, okay.
I want this to be close, but Gladiators does not give me much hope. I mean, last week they beat up on Vancouver, sorry, the other Canadian team.
Yeah.
Doesn't really show me much.
Believe that was one of those games I didn't get to watch because my eyes started to rot away.
Yeah, it was definitely, well, that was earlier in the day. I think you were there, but probably weren't paying super close attention because of your eye.
Yeah, it's true.
Wasn't, I mean, again, it's Gladiators Vancouver. I'd be kind of worried if it was even close. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is Philly. I think Gladiators are good enough for one. So yeah, I won't say 3-0.
Who was playing Genji for them? Was it Buttering?
I would imagine it's Kevster. Let's look. I'll pull it up because I genuinely don't remember.
I thought it was Kevster.
I'm gonna guess it's Kevster.
I'll be honest. When I watch my matches, I don't usually prioritize Gladiator skins.
Let me see.
Mirror on
Mirror.
Anubis.
Actually, Mirror, yeah.
Okay.
And then Kevster on Gibraltar. Okay. Fair.
Okay, that's bizarre.
Makes sense.
Does it though? In what way does that make sense? You want Mirror because of Doom, maybe? Okay. Maybe. Give him a little playtime. Could be a Doom map. Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
No, I'm more talking about the distribution of Genji and between Kevster and Bertring. That's what I was.
You mean Kevster and Mirror?
No, Kevster and Bertring, because like the Kevster Bertring situation, it feels very like London-esque, where you don't necessarily have a clear distribution where, like, you know how Profit and Bertring just gave it up, right?
Yeah, at times. I yeah, if you're going that way, then yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah,
it wasn't self-evident to me who was going to play what. I think it is important to to specialize the players into that. I was just not aware where they were going.
Yeah, it'll be interesting this week in particular because they have pretty difficult matchups, like who gets majority of the playtime, or if they continue to kind of flex around. Because I do think I think Mirror is playing on some certain number of maps because of like the flex potential. Not only can you play Genji, but you can play Doom, can play other things as well. Obviously, Kevster brings a similar hero pool, but maybe not as specialized, so could be a flex there. But again, I think this is a Philly win. I don't think it's a 3-0. I think it's probably a 3-1. I think Glads is at least good enough to take it to Philly, at least on one of these maps.
And let's continue to frame that conversation as we go to LA Gladiators versus the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, a lot of the same talking points. Again, like two teams that arguably could be the top. I think you could make an argument, especially with the results from Summer Showdown, on who the top team is, and I'm not mad at any of them for the most part. Unless you're saying like Florida's top, then I want what you're smoking. But yeah, again, Paris, top team, Glads has a lot to prove. Paris,
and you're not saying Gladiators are a top team, are you?
No.
Okay,
No,
I just want to make
Paris
sure. I think just based by the way that the sentence was put together, I'm worried that people
100%.
will think that you said that.
No. Gladiators definitely.
You're talking about Fusion and Paris, the teams that are playing the Gladiators as two of the top teams.
Yeah.
This is for me the Gladiators' last hurrah to prove that they are not a bottom 5 team in NA? Bottom 4?
Ooh,
okay.
I wouldn't go that far.
NA.
No, I'd have to really list them out.
Look at this.
We've already listed out 4.
Okay. I'm going to blow your guys' mind.
Okay.
By win chance, Gladiators is the 5th best team in the league.
By what?
By win chance. They are 7-6 right now.
Oh, okay. By record.
Okay.
If I'm understanding.
Yeah. Win rate. Sorry,
okay.
Win rate.
Record.
Right?
Yeah.
Which places them slightly above Reign and Valiant. Now,
Sure.
of course, also we have to
the quality of that, not the same.
Yeah.
Not the same.
It's also they're going to have a rough couple of matches. If you're like,
they're
the two of them are happening now. Directly after that, you have Mayhem. That's the top 3, right?
Yeah.
Like
you got to run the gauntlet
with the exception of Shock, which I'm sure one of the 8 teams probably gotta be Shock as well, because Gladiators are one of the teams that have played the least. It's only Dynasty, Gladiators.
They're supposed to be in Asia.
Yeah, only Dynasty and Gladiators have played this little games. So, of course, like we don't know in which direction this goes, and I'm very sure that after this weekend already, they will be much more mid-tier based on their win rate. But it is crazy that maybe the strength of schedule switched up, how hard Gladiators flipped throughout this season, and how the perception doesn't line up necessarily with the scoreline that they currently have.
Yeah,
and
I would agree.
I still think they have a solid chance to be a top 5 team in NA by records when the season's done.
Well, and
it is not impossible.
That's kind of my point here. So first of all, I want to clarify. I think I said bottom 4. I take that back. I would say 6. Bottom 6.
Yeah. I could agree with that. They could reach 6. That low.
And that's if they don't put up some consistent or promising performances over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think those are both fair things to say.
I'm not gonna lie. It might I wouldn't say it's a wash because that feels like very strong. But again, you're playing Fusion. You're playing Paris. Then you're playing Florida. You might just be going into the Countdown Cup like easily the bottom seeded team. And with these 3 matches, you get picked last. So you get the shocks. You play all top 4.
True.
And you just get banged out. And it's tough to like really gauge.
Yeah.
You're not only not getting bonus wins, but it's tough to gauge exactly how they're playing because they're playing the top teams, and this is not a top team. Like you're playing every single class member above you. You're playing your seniors in this case.
Yeah.
So it's tough to really get a feel for them if they're not playing the Atlantis, if they're not playing. Who else would you like to see them play? That's even like remotely like the Valiants. Again, like I'd love to see a Glad's Valiant kind of like LA Cup kind of deal because I think they're relatively close. I think there's an actual discussion there where they just feel like losses. It's not good. I'd love for the Gladiators to bounce back and maybe like take some of these games close. I really don't see them winning. Closest one is maybe Florida in week 3 because of like the junk week. I don't know. It's a tough call because there's a real world where Gladiators go 0-4 in the next 4.
Also, like direct competitors, Reign, they are probably going 3-0. I would think. Like I think they're going to be. No, sorry.
Oh, the Reign this week.
Reign have won. Then the next 2 is Boston and Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's probably 3-0 going into Canton Cup.
Yep.
And then they already are seeded pretty well, so they get the free wins. Maybe. And wait, is the high seed already? No, they don't. Like they have to only semifinalists receive bonus wins, right? That's how it works. Yeah. So they definitely could eke one out there, but even just by their season record, they're pulling ahead. Isn't it super crazy that Atlanta Reign is a top 5 team in NA?
Based on their match record?
Does that feel true to you?
No,
does it feel true to you that the Valiant had a worse season?
It just in terms of the map record, no, it doesn't feel like how they're being portrayed right now or how they're playing. But again, it's a weird season. There's a lot, there's going to be makeup games that definitely don't affect the match record. If I'm to understand the kind of makeup game scenario, these aren't going to be, I guess, I don't know. I'm still very confused on exactly what's happening because do those games matter? Because these games don't. How does that affect the match standing? Does it matter what the match standing is at the end of the day? Because we've kind of thrown it out the window. I don't know.
I by the way, that is one thing I wonder where it's like, did they just schedule games based on availability of teams?
At the start,
or did they actually like try to sort of even it out? Because we know even in NA, I think Valiant played Shock probably 3 times now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something from feeling. I'm not sure if that's true.
I'd say so.
Like there's definitely teams that had a significantly stronger strength of schedule at this point, where you could think that it isn't going to be equalized at the end of the season. And we would have to, that's an Eric question, by the way. Just like at the time of play, based on Elo, who just got mega unfortunate. Yeah. And I think we will see that feeling reflected in that strength of schedule, because like from feel, like Valiant is definitely a top 5 team this season, right? Like just like the level they played at, especially during
and in the past, I'd agree. I don't know right now. I don't know right now.
Not right now, of course, but like in aggregate over the season, just how
yeah, I could agree with that. I could agree over the course of what we've seen right now.
I wouldn't disagree with it, and I wouldn't present a counter argument against it. But
it just doesn't feel.
I just like good. There are a few teams in there that I would say the same things about.
Yeah. Like who?
Rain.
See.
I mean, I can see an argument for it.
And again, I'm not saying I feel that way.
I know what you're saying. I
just like there's these arguments that say like
could argue Glads too. As much as
I think you can. I think you can. I think there's
with what we've seen, not looking too much farther ahead in terms of like the makeup games and the Countdown Cup. From what we've seen thus far, recency bias aside, I think there is an argument to say who is 5th.
It's too bad the Outlaws only have 3 matches left, because I would say like imagine if that number said 7. Imagine if they were 4-8 or whatever, and they had 7 games left.
We would, if they actually like had a semi decent start, and if you guys recall, they had a horrific on.
They lost to Boston out the gate, didn't they?
Yeah. Like they had one of the most
had to
laughable
take a
strength
lot
of
for a lot of weeks.
Like these first 6 games, I feel like. And maybe in hindsight, they don't match up that same way anymore. But like from memory, the feeling of that was like they had probably the easy strength of schedule based on that. I think maybe part of that was because Valiant was in there and we thought they were not going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been the case. But yeah, still, like if they didn't have that bad start, we would also think of them very differently, I think. Then they're maybe currently like at least like 8 and 10, like not,
They
you
could
know,
be in
like
the argument.
99, like then it looks very different, right?
So, and that's the thing is like I think that there are teams that if like and if you take, especially if you take record out of it and just say give me the top 5 teams,
The feeling,
of who you think the best teams are. I don't think that I would just like universally go, oh yeah, Valiant, that makes sense, done, next, nobody else really makes sense, blah, blah. Like there's I think 3 teams that are kind of really interesting arguments for being in there. I'm not saying that the Outlaws are in there.
None of them
way,
feel
but I'm
good,
just
though.
saying that none of them, and honestly any of the teams, none of the teams period out of the top 4 just even like feel like good teams. Like
it's like this weird middle kind of different shades of gray.
I think the
like,
Valiant probably do feel the best, and the Valiant and the Rain are the 2 that I think feel the best.
Yeah,
but I don't know. That's just me.
it just feels like we're missing somebody too. But maybe that's just because Asia's split.
It's because London
And there's just a smaller pool.
moved.
Ooh, could London be a top 5 argument? I don't know.
Can you put the match screen up real quick again?
Yeah.
I think that would have maybe been one more 3-0 than that. I would like to.
So I was gonna come back and ask you guys. So we're at 6-7-6 right now. I'm gonna bust mine up to 7. I don't know which one, but I think it's gonna be there. Yiska, you say that there's gonna be 7 right now. Do you want to change your number up or down?
Yeah, I don't
Same
think
for
we.
Joe.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned Philly. Did we mention Philly, Toronto?
Very quickly, yes.
Okay. I know we mentioned Houston, Washington. No, I'm staying. I'll say 7.
You're gonna say 7. You're at 6 right now. You're gonna say 7.
Oh. No, keep me at 6. If that's what I was, that's what I was.
Unless I missed it.
I'm at 7, right?
Yep. I think you have to go to 8 just to make us all different.
Come on, let's go.
So, let's go. All right, Chad.
feels
There
like
you
a-
have it.
A game of Wizard, if you guys know that card game.
Certainly don't. Certainly don't.
Coppers has 10. Jeez. What do you have, chat? How many 3-0s this week do you have? Hope you guys had fun today, by the way. It's fun for us, that's for sure. 9.3. Eric, you can't do that. 11 for Wellard. 4 for Cooks. 9 for Salty.
Got some cynics in chat.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, we'll have to see. This will be a fun one to... Only Chengdu versus Spark isn't a 3-0. 8.5. You can't do points. You say 8 or 9. Otherwise, if it ends up being 8, you're going to be like, I was right. No, you weren't. You're just, no matter what, you're going to be wrong. It has to be 8 or 9. 10, 8, 7. Anyways, chat, thank you so much for hanging out. Hope you had a ton of fun today. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. But first, a big thank you to our patron producers. Battle Crab Pin, Lotion, Charlie L, Audio, Compass, Pork Chop, Sammy, Kasha 67, Kushi Kopi, Char, Picasso, Nathan Misery, Hunter Tane, Refined Bean, Rex Zane, Roger B, Fabled Steven, Owen, Chris R34444. Yiska is holding me hostage. Please send help. I'm under Yiska's desk. Please send help. Yiska says, Fishers, Frisha, Fish. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Patreon.com/Tactical Crouch. Please support the show. We have Game Night Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time.
Yep.
Right here, twitch.tv/Kickedtripod will be live right after Spike Drop, or Valorant podcast that records live at noon. Right here on Twitch. Please come hang out for us. Yiska, we've got some new subs, do we not?
Yes, and it's this time. It's wait, am I on the right? Yes, it's Natsuba and Zack Attack 812. Thank you for the subs.
Someone said,
Thank you.
Wait a second, games are at 3. Yes, but it's literally Rain versus Uprising and Shock
we'll probably play
versus
some games.
Florida. So we're not going to
Watch a
watch
few.
Rain versus Uprising. There's nothing, there's no amount of money you could pay for me to watch that.
Probably.
If we
pretty
decide that
mega.
we want to kick back and watch the Shock game, I'm all for it.
Yeah, maybe like if that happens, maybe we can just turn it into a companion stream of sorts or something.
Yeah, if it's a good set of games that we're just not privy to, the tea leaves, then maybe we'll just, throw on a timer and hang out. But probably expect some fun Jackbox, some party games.
Yes.
So
All right.
that's Friday.
Yiska, shout outs for the week. Where can people find you?
So I, as I referred to in the episode, like Eric and I put out an article. I think it's very useful to just like assess how important the rest of the games are. I felt kind of deflated initially by the prospects of having everyone in playoffs, and I thought everyone was going to slack off. Actually, no breathing room for so many teams to just take this easy now. Like, yeah, maybe the top teams, and yeah, maybe the absolute bottom tier teams, but everyone in the middle is actually playing for something here. And which we always wanted in the Overwatch League to be the case.
Totally.
And I think these conditions are actually pretty large in terms of the season outcome. Like Eric ran the numbers, like finishing a breaking point higher, almost like in many cases doubled the win chances you had to win the entire thing. So overall, like I was actually kind of surprised by how severe these were. Like we already talked about it during the games. I actually wasn't aware that the format was out. I think this is honestly like they bang on nailed it in the importance of regular season without making it too punishing on the time restrictions that they had. So hats off to the Overwatch League for that one.
Cool. Joe, shoutouts for the week, man. Where can people find you?
You can find me on all the socials at Volamel. That's Volamel. Just put out a piece reviewing the Chengdu Hunters beat the NYXL. So that'll be on GG Recon. Going to be doing a player feature that I kind of hinted at last week or last episode. So check that out. It should be out sometime this weekend or maybe even a little sooner. But yeah, other than that, content is coming. I'm probably doing a little bit of a Valor feature sometime soon, so be on the lookout for that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sweet. It's me, find me over at Kickedtripod, playing a lot of TFT lately. It's been really nice to just throw on a game on the other screen and then play some TFT. So I might be streaming over the weekend right here, twitch.tv/Kickedtripod. We'll see. But other than that, I'm just kind of chilling. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. We will see you Friday for Spike Drop or Monday for the next episode of Tactical Crouch. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.